When I was in high school, the biggest boy band in the world was One Direction.
You couldn't walk down the street without hearing a One Direction song.
They were everywhere. It was like the return of NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys and Menudo, I guess. They really set the standard for the modern, boy group. And a lot of bands after them tried to replicate that success, but really couldn't. I mean, we all remember The Wanted.
I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came.
That's what she said.
But there's one band that I think really got close to being One Direction 2.0. Two Direction, if you will. In fact, this band even got to tour with One Direction. They would also draw constant comparisons to One Direction, even though they made completely different genres of music. And that band is 5 Seconds of Summer. There were some similarities. Both made pop-centric music, but 5 Sauce was more pop-punk, and 1D was more straightforward pop. Also, One Direction had more members than 5 Seconds of Summer. One Direction had 5 members, and 5 Seconds of Summer had 4. But those 4 had distinct personalities. Don't ask me what those personalities were, because I wasn't really paying attention back then. The only one I ever really remember thinking was even a little bit cool was guitarist Michael Clifford. And that's convenient for me because I need to do a video and I couldn't think of anything, so I'm gonna review his new album. Let's go!
Oh, get a load of them!
Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Trevor and I am eternally uncool. I make videos about music, music culture, and anything that interests me. But mostly music right now. So if that sounds like something you'd be into, then I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and watching the rest of this video. All 4 members of 5 Seconds of Summer have been putting out solo albums since about 2019 or 2020. I think Ashton Irwin was the first one to really release his own solo music. Then I think it was Luke Hemming. But I think the solo record I got most interested in was Michael Clifford's. Michael Clifford was the 5 Sauce member that I personally connected with the most, even though I wasn't really a big fan of them when they were in their heyday. I was a hater when they were just starting out. But secretly, I really like their music. And Michael's more punky, emo look really drew me in. I was a bit of a pop-punk purist back in the day, so when I saw this guy with the kind of emo hair, the kind of classic pop-punk look, I was like, this guy knows his shit. And I was kind of right. What I want to do today is take a look at Michael Clifford's solo debut, Sidequest. I'm gonna listen to it, give my opinion on each song, rate them from 1 to 10, yada yada yada. You guys know how reviews work, you're smart. So with all that being said, grab a drink, grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's get into the review.
And now, our feature presentation.
So I haven't heard anything from this album except for maybe one song that he did with Waterparks, mainly because I'm a big Waterparks fan. So I'm going into this experience with virgin ears.
What did he say?
I don't know what it sounds like, but I'm assuming it's gonna have a pop-punk, maybe alt vibe, judging by the fact that it was released through Hopeless Records, known for bands like All Time Low. But I feel like there's also gonna be a bit of an indie vibe to it as well, especially when you consider the inclusion of an artist like Porter Robinson. What I'm expecting from this album before I listen to it is a pop-punk album.
Obviously.
But a pop-punk album as we know it in the year 2025. Maybe it'll lean towards the MGK style. Maybe it'll lean towards the Paradox.
Who knows?
I won't until I listen to it. So let's do that.
You left a scar in your place, and it's been written in your name, so you can kill me for always, always.
The album opens with the song Kill Me Always featuring Porter Robinson. I like Porter Robinson quite a bit. I put his song Cheerleader as my favorite song of 2024. He's got good production style, similar to something like The Postal Service or Owl City. You can hear a little bit of that style in this track. It's kind of soft and vulnerable, which I feel is a very unique way to open an album. Usually with an opening track, you want to like kick in the door and get the listener ready, get them pumped up for the rest of the album. Then you start bringing in the vulnerability around the 4th or 5th track. But Michael isn't afraid to show his cards from the beginning. From what I could gather, this song is about emotional damage.
Emotional damage!
Caused by someone who continues to hold a sort of power over the narrator, essentially. The line, "Kill me always," infers that this damage is permanent, which is heavy stuff for an opener. I like it. We get the emotional vulnerability right out of the gate, so we know what we're getting into. But it's not too much of a downer. It's a catchy song that sounds very nice and has a memorable hook. 8 out of 10.
Everybody knows that I'm out of place.
The second track, Cool, brings the energy up a little bit. It's definitely more upbeat than the previous track. It has a poppier vibe, but with an alternative edge. It's a song about feeling like you don't fit in, which is a common theme within a lot of pop-punk music. But it's also a feeling that doesn't really go away with age. You never really stop feeling out of place in certain situations. And this song asks the question, am I cool enough when it comes to certain trends and like fashion things? I mean, it's definitely relatable to someone like me who just feels constantly out of the loop with anything popular and like what is cool to wear. Like I don't wear like high fashion. I wear band shirts all the time. You guys know that. It's a fun song, honestly. The sound mixes pop punk, power pop, and a little bit of electronic. But none of those genres really overtake the others. They all kind of fit perfectly together. I give this one a 9 out of 10.
Won't you give me a break? I don't remember who I am now. Give me a name.
Give Me a Break is the only song I heard before doing this review. It features Water Parks, who I've been a pretty big fan of for the last couple of years, honestly. And this collaboration is actually perfect. Water Parks is one of the few pop-punk bands that perfectly straddles the line between those two genres. And I feel like Michael Clifford is the same way. This song has a really big Five Sauce vibe. Pop-punk that leans real heavy into pop, but in like a good way. There's a lot of cool electronics and synth going on in the song that I really like. And of course, Austin's vocals are great. Good addition to the track. 9 out of 10. Remember When has a chorus that I kind of like. Kind of reminds me of something I would have heard on the radio back in 2017. And the instrumental is kind of cool. But I keep waiting for it to build up into something bouncier or bigger. But instead we kind of stay in this kind of pseudo-folk meets pop-punk genre. And I just really don't get it. It's not bad, but it just really doesn't hit like the previous tracks. 6 out of 10.
Never blame someone else, no, more than I blame myself for letting you in just to fuck with my head. All I've done, is it ever gonna be enough?
Enough suffers from the same problems as Remember When. It's an alright track, but it feels kind of slow. And I know that there's slow songs in pop punk. You don't gotta tell me that. Put your keyboards away. And I also understand that this song focuses on Michael's mental health struggles. But this song just feels like it veers more into like radio pop than the modern pop punk that we've been getting thus far. This is another 6 out of 5. 6 out of 5? This is another 6 out of 10. fashion brings us right back to the pop-punk vibe that I love about this album. It reminds me of something that would have been released in like the late 2000s, early 2010s, when like neon pop punk was the big thing and everything was like real synth and electronica driven. And the melody of the chorus brings to mind early Fall Out Boy. And you know what? The lyrics also kind of remind me of Fall Out Boy. Talking about toxic relationships that you just can't bring yourself to leave. Honestly, this is my favorite track so far. 10 out of 10.
So thirsty for attention, so hungry for your love. An honorable mention is never good enough.
Thirsty talks about being thirsty.
Thirsty for what?
Thirsty for attention, thirsty for love, thirsty for validation, but just not feeling like you deserve any of it. Definitely interesting in terms of lyricism, but the tonal shift is just kind of like whiplash from the previous track. Whereas the last track sounded like Fall Out Boy, Thirsty kind of sounds like something Shawn Mendes would put out. Which isn't a bad thing. I like some Shawn Mendes. I don't hate the track. It sounds nice. It's slower, but not too slow. It really builds up when it gets to the chorus, which I like a lot. And the chorus itself is pretty damn good. But I don't know if I'd call it one of my favorite tracks. 6.57 out of 10.
Nobody knows how much I bleed. No, nobody knows how. Nobody knows how I don't sleep, 'cause my thoughts never slow down.
Nosebleed is probably the most emo track on this entire album. It has a much darker feel than the rest of the songs that we've heard so far. And it makes sense when you realize that this is another song about Michael's mental health struggles, and how he's kept it hidden from the people he loves.
Relatable.
But while it is a relatable song, I feel like it just goes on much longer than it should. It's about 3.5 minutes long, but feels so much longer. I feel like it could have been a much more succinct 2.5 minutes and still have gotten its message across. 6 out of 10.
If I had a choice, I'd be somebody else.
If I had a cookie,
Try again.
If I Had a Choice sounds like your typical slow burn pop song. It features Ryan Hall, who I don't even know who that is. Is he like a singer? Can someone let me know that in the comments? Not that that matters to my enjoyment of the song. And my enjoyment of the song is just not there, man. This is a 3 out of 10.
I didn't know you were something I almost missed.
The final track, Eclipse, definitely leans more into emo than pop punk. The hushed vocals and guitar strumming, before exploding into something louder, with heavier guitars and electronics that mix really cool. You can hear Michael's vulnerability and passion as he quietly sings the verses, and then like shouts the chorus. This is a pretty good way to close this specific album. It really matches the same kind of vulnerability as the opening track. So you get that nice kind of bookend to it all. 7.5 out of 10. Sidequest is definitely an eclectic album. It mixes the poppy pop-punk of 5 Seconds of Summer with elements of electronica, hyperpop, and folk. So it definitely gets points for creativity. I'll also give it points for being so openly vulnerable. Michael Clifford doesn't hold back in telling us how he feels. He's an open book on all 10 tracks. Yeah, there are some tracks I could really do without. Some moments just kind of drag on, taking me out of the entire experience. But the songs that hit really hit. Overall, I think this album will really satisfy longtime 5 Seconds of Summer fans. It might not hit with the pop-punk purists as well, but it's a really enjoyable listen with some really catchy songs. If I had to give this album an overall cumulative score, it would be 7 out of 10. Good? Good. What do you think of Michael Clifford's new album? Did you enjoy it? What's your opinion on the other 5 Seconds of Summer solo albums? Should I do more album reviews? Let me know in the comments. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then I highly recommend smashing that like button and sharing this video with everyone you know. I am a small, independent content creator who does everything on his own. And I'm really trying to grow my channel, so every like, every comment, every share, any interaction with this video at all really helps me out a lot. I'm also trying to grow my Instagram account, so if you want to follow that, you can. But with all that being said, thank you for watching. As always, I'm Trevor. Stay uncool. And that's the end of the video. Goodbye.